welcome back to Cooking with Bill. If you noticed, I finally have a new URL, a web address for this site. So, Cooking with Bill Bowman, ASL. So, tell your friends, they can come here, subscribe to my channel, they can like things, they can give me comments. This morning what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a very quick and easy breakfast to make. And it came from Revelation Wellness. So, give them props for this recipe. I'm modifying it a bit because that's just what I do. But basically it's a flourless quiche that we're making. And so it's a breakfast kind of thing that we're going to take potatoes. Now they used hash browns. So again, you could use hash browns. That works fine. You can get them frozen in the store. You can go out to McDonald's and buy them, whatever you want to do. I'm actually using potatoes. I had some small potatoes left over. Little potatoes, and I put them in some boiling water, let them soften up, and then I put them in a cast iron pan, mashed them up, okay, and made the crust. You'll add a little salt and pepper to it, and then we're going to bake that in the oven for about 20 minutes to get a nice crisp crust on the bottom. Now when we're done with that, I've got some breakfast sausage that just browned up here in the other skillet. And then we're going to add a few vegetables and some eggs to that. Pop it back in the oven and we're done. So I like using cast iron. It's very versatile. I actually boil the potatoes in it. Now I'm actually going to be baking that crust in the oven. So you can take it straight off the stove top, put it in the oven. Just remember, when you're working with cast iron, you're going to want to use a hot glove or a oven mitt of some sort because that handle is also blazing hot. Now the next thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to chop up some vegetables very fine. I've got some peppers. Now you can get regular sized peppers. I happen to be at the store and they had these small ones, so I went ahead and got them. Now when you use your knife, be careful. Okay, again, you're going to curl those fingers in so you don't cut your fingers. Now I know Ann Burrell from Food Network will get upset because I put my finger on top of the knife. She always says to put it to the side. So I would have a red mark from her if I was on her show. Oh well. And then all we're going to do is we're going to take these, line them up pretty close, and we're just going to run a knife through them. And you don't have to get them super fine. And they're going to cook down in the eggs as you're baking. And we're going to have some nice vegetables. Now you could add whatever vegetables you want to this. We are going to be adding these peppers. We're going to add some onion. And we also have some asparagus. Now, some people don't like asparagus. You could use broccoli. We're going to put some spinach in as well. So it's a very, very vegetable forward type of quiche. A little hint on asparagus. If you ever want to use asparagus separate from this, I typically will shave the asparagus and that'll take some of that extra greeny kind of flavor out of it, and it tends to make it a little bit more palatable to some people. So we're just going to run a knife through that as well. And we're done. So again, Cooking with Bill. We'll see you back here in about, I don't know why I'm looking at my wrist, there's no watch on it, but 20 minutes. Okay, we're just about ready to pour this into the pan. We're going to finish up this a little bit. I've taken a bowl, I've put those cut vegetables that we did, the asparagus. I put in about a cup of spinach. I typically buy frozen spinach because you're going to be cooking it anyway. So why pay the expense of getting fresh spinach? But again, up to you. We're going to take just a little bit, and you could use regular milk, you could use soy milk, you can use oat milk. We're using a little bit of almond milk. And basically you're putting just enough in there to help the consistency with those eggs that we're going to be putting in here. And then the last thing, of course, is doing eggs. Now, I don't recommend, if you don't know how to crack eggs well, to crack them right into the bowl. Just like when I talked about baking. You don't want to have eggshells fall into your batter. Well, we don't want eggshells into this breakfast that we're making. So I would take it, tap it lightly on the side. You're going to open it up, and there you go. So if you haven't ever done that before, again, just making a slice in it, you're going to open it up. Now, if you do happen to get eggshells into your eggs, you can use the shell itself, just use a piece of it. It'll adhere to that shell better than trying to do it with your fingers. Just a little hint there. Now, if you've ever had to separate eggs, since I'm doing this, you can take the shells themselves and use them. So you see you have half a shell here. Well, you let the egg yolk fall into the shell, and you just kind of go back and forth and it separates, and there's your egg yolk. So again, little thing you learn about eggs. So for each person that's eating, they're getting 2 eggs in this omelet. And because I've made this omelet fairly large, the original recipe is like a 5x5 little tureen. Well, we're making a big one in a cast iron, and so we're going to have quite a bit more eggs. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8. So we're going to have a lot of eggs in this, and that's fine. It is an omelet. Now what I would do whenever you're making omelets, I do like to take the eggs and I like to break the yolks and kind of give them a little stir in the bowl before we put them in with anything. It just kind of incorporates them better. And we just pour it in. That's all it is to it. So I've got everything I need in this bowl. I'll put in about 2 tablespoons of browned sausage. Now again, your choice of what kind of sausage you get. I just got a breakfast sausage from one of our vendors locally, and it's phenomenal sausage. But I put about 2 tablespoons per person in here. So 2 eggs, 2 tablespoons of sausage, and the rest is vegetables and of course the potatoes. Now, for those who are concerned, again, carbs aren't too bad if you're not eating too much of them. So having a little bit of potatoes underneath this isn't going to be too bad. If it is an issue, you can always just make an omelet and don't put the potatoes underneath, and you have a vegetable and sausage omelet. I'm going to mix this up and we're going to pour it in the pan, and then we're going to get right back to you. We have taken the cast iron pan, we had mashed those potatoes out with a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, put it in the oven at 425 for about 25 minutes. Now again, depending on how wet the potatoes are, you may have to go a little bit longer because you do want a brown crust around them. The Revelation Wellness is using actually hash browns, and those hash browns will brown up very quickly, so that'll be 25 minutes will be plenty of time. We have our mixture that has our sausage and our eggs and our vegetables. We've salt and peppered that as well. Again, seasoning in each layer. And now we're going to pour that into the pan here, and I'm going to put a lid on it and put it in the oven for an additional 25 minutes at 350 degrees. Now, at 25 minutes, we're going to check and see if it's loose. You don't want to have any wobble to the eggs. You want them to be cooked. If they're fully cooked, we'll take the lid off, and then we'll let it bake for about another 5 minutes or so to get a little browning on the top. Now, if you're using a ramekin or if you're using some type of dish, you may want to put aluminum foil over top of it to do the same thing. So I've poured it into my pan. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the oven, and we'll see you back here in about 25 minutes. Okay, we have taken it out of the oven. It was at 350 degrees. Now, because I made such a large quiche, it actually took me about 40 minutes to get fully done. Now, if you're making a small ramekin, it might take 10 to 15 minutes. So pay attention. If you're doing a small batch, make sure you go in and check. You can shake the ramekin, or if you're using a pan, you can shake the pan and see if that egg has solidified in the top. If it is, you're done and good to go. Now I'm going to post a link to revelationwellness.org, and you can go there, and if you become a member, you can get their whole list of recipes that they're using. I'm just using one today because my wife and I are members. Now, because this is a large pan, it's making about 6 servings. So I'm going to cut an appropriate serving, so if you're making a 1 for yourself, you'll know what you're dealing with. Okay, so here's 1 serving. So that's 1/6 of that pan. So approximately 2 eggs, 2 tablespoons of meat, a lot of vegetables. This is a nice way to have a breakfast or a brunch. So, if you like what you're seeing here with Cooking with Bill, make sure you subscribe. If you're in Facebook, you can like. If you're on Instagram, you can like it there as well. Tell your friends about us. Send me comments. Let me know what you'd like to have me cook. And we'll see you back here in the kitchen.